because he understood this, that everything is about energy. And in energy, it's a very dynamic thing. All energy do not, it either remain a potential energy, but all energy is when it manifests itself, it's a dynamic thing. You know, it's dynamic. And it can come in the form of wave, pulse, or anything, but it's dynamic. The whole universe is about energy. Our human body is about energy. Our human body is an electric body. It's an electric body. Everything works. You know how the messages sent from your brain to your nerves are electric signals. Now, this, if it is an energy, then it follows, it has a set of laws. Because energy cannot be at random and without a law governing it. So there's law behind energy. So the universe is about energy. Next. Energy is governed by its own laws. Alright? This is when we think about health. It's also governed by laws. Alright? Next. Energy can be both physical and non-physical. Physical energy is where you feel that physical, like I give you a tap on your back, you can feel the force as I tap you. That's physical. But there's also energy that are non-physical, that you cannot measure or touch it, but it's a force, it's an energy. You know what the energy is? Non-physical energy. Love is an energy, but it's not physical. You cannot touch or take love and put it in your pocket, but it's a very powerful energy. Alright? Think about it. Why it is a force? When you think of something sad, just the thought itself, your tears starts to flow. What creates the tears? It's your emotion, your feeling. It creates. So emotions, energy, non-physical energy has the power to create. You know? So next. So physical dimension is governed by physical laws, and spiritual dimension is governed by spiritual laws. And so with this understanding of the physical laws, we are able to create, you know, like an aeroplane and many things else, you know. And you look at the different sciences and so on and so forth. And then there's one area that was very interesting many years back, was Professor Emoto talks about the memory power of water. Right? The water has a ability to store energy, vibration. And if it's good vibration or bad vibration, it can also store. Look at the slide right at the left-hand corner. That is a crystal of a water. What this Professor Emoto did was that he took glasses of water from the same source, from the same jar, and then he poured into this water. And one of the water, for example, you can hold it and you think of something positive, someone you love, or some real compassion of something that you think, positive thoughts in that water while you hold that glass. Then you put the glass there, then you go take another glass of water and you hold that and you think of something that pains you, that's very negative energy, all right? Then he went and took this water and he went to freeze it, all right? When water freezes, it crystallizes, and he used this large magnification kind of microscope and took picture of the crystals that were formed when, you know, they were going into that freezing mode from that 2 different glasses of water, which was from the same source. He was surprised to see that the one with the beautiful thought of love and things like that, the crystal came out so beautiful, like this one. It was so well symmetrical and very beautifully formed. The other glass of water where he held it with a lot of negative feeling, pain or whatever, the water crystal turns out to be very irregular, not so pretty, not so nicely formed. And he was surprised by that, and he started to do a lot more experiment. He even labeled the glass love. Another glass he would label it as hate, you know, and he found that the result was the same. Then he started labeling people. Like, for example, say Mother Teresa, you know, and then another one he will label Hitler, for example. And it also went in and he found that the results were similar. The positive people like Mother Teresa came out with beautiful crystals, and Hitler one came out very bad. Then he tried it on music. He used Beethoven's, those beautiful classic music, And the water turned out beautiful as well, the crystals. Then he used those heavy metal music, and the water turns out very irregular, not so pretty. Of course, this was all done in different room, controlled condition, so there's no other external influence. And then he came to that. And this was a door that helped to open up something very interesting. Why? Because more than 70% of our human weight, our mass, body mass, is made of what?
Water.
Water. And if that water, the molecules in our body has memory, can you imagine that if you are always depressed, angry, a lot of those anger in you, unforgiving, and all this negative feeling that you have, this negative feeling has a vibrational signature that the water will trap. And when this water traps this negative energy, the vibration of the water molecule in your body, in your blood system, in the intracellular fluid and everything else, has water, because water is the medium. This water has negative vibration. It makes your body's physiological function a little bit more sluggish. Alright? The exchange of your oxygen with carbon dioxide or your nutrients with those waste generated by the cells, their efficiency drop when you're very negative and very angry or depressed and so on. Then we also found something very interesting clinically. There were, let's say, 3 patients that came to see a doctor with the same condition. So you give them the same treatment. The first patient, after 2 weeks, he come back and say, "Hey, doc, I'm feeling very good, and thank you, and I think I'm okay now." And he goes on with the slide and say, "Next week, I'm looking forward to join my children on a holiday to Hawaii." That was patient 1. Patient 2 came up 2 weeks in the follow-up and said, "Well, I think I'm a little bit better, but it's still there." Then the third patient with the same medical condition and same treatment comes back and tells you that, it was a little bit better, but it's still, you are still sick. All right. Then from a scientific perspective, when you have science, we need reproducibility, and you also need to, repeatability as well. So in that case, you find that all the conditions, let's say all the factors were the same, but why do these 3 patients respond differently? And then we decided to do a profiling of the patient. The first patient, let's say, is a happy-go-lucky guy. He doesn't worry, he's happy-go-lucky, and he's a nice nature, very positive person. The second patient was a nice guy, but he was a very practical and down-to-earth person. The third patient was one where he's so cynical about life, he's so negative, always, will say something negative, make negative comment. He never appreciate anybody, he never appreciate anyone or anything. You bring him to the best, let's say, restaurant to have very fine food, and he will still complain, "Oh, it's too salty," or "it's this and that." You bring him to the best scene, in a tour to a famous spot in the world, and he will say, "My backyard looks better." So, these are the people who are so cynical, very negative. Now, you all probably have this experience as well. If you have many friends out there, you also have different group of friends. Spend time with the person who is very negative. For 2 hours, you sit with the person, all he does is complain and complain and complain. He'll criticize you, criticize that guy, you never appreciate anything. After spending 2 hours with that person, and you walk away, you feel drained. You feel drained. It's like a energy vampire that just sucks away your energy. You feel drained. But if you are with a positive person with a lot of good energy, all right, good attitude of life, very compassionate, good, person. After spending 1-2 hours with the person, you feel, wow, charged. You feel happy. You laugh. This guy has a good sense of humor. He made you laugh and everything else. After that, you feel good. You come back. Though you may not remember all the details that you have talked about, but you remember the memory of the time you spent with this guy. That's very recharging. Now, this is about energy, and energy has different vibration. If you have negative energy in you, where Abdul Bahai always asks us to be happy. You say, we're not happy, when are you waiting to be happy? When you're unhappy, this negative vibration is also picked up by the water molecules in the body, and it affects your health. So a happy-go-lucky person, generally speaking, are more healthier than those who are always complaining and complaining and complaining. So please be happy. All right. So the physical law of health, the physical things that we are physical being, though, we are spiritual, but we manifest as a spiritual being as well. As a physical being, we are subjected to spiritual law, physical law. Next. So what about non-physical energy? Is spiritual energy physical or non-physical? It's non-physical. Because spiritual, when you think of doing something that, or you say a prayer for somebody, that prayer has energy. But it's not physical. You can't catch it, but it has an impact. And next. So spiritual dimension is also governed by spiritual laws. Right? Just as the physical dimension has its physical law, the spiritual dimension has spiritual laws. Next. What about life force? Is that an energy? Look at this plant. Beautiful flowers blooming and all this thing. But the moment that life force leaves that plant, what happens? It starts to wilt away. Right? And look at the animal, this beautiful cheetah or that whatever. The moment that life force leaves the body, physical body, it starts to decompose. And, it starts to decompose away. So, life force, is it an energy? It is. And Abdul Bahai explained that the whole thing that holds our planet and universe together is also an energy. And what is that energy? Love. It is love that holds everything in place. That life force is also love. The moment it leaves that physical being, the animal dies, the plant dies. Alright? So this life force is an energy. Now I mentioned about this life force is because this is important in the healing process. In the healing process. Alright? Next. And we all know in the faith, we have this 5 kingdoms, from mineral to plant to animal to the human kingdom, and the spiritual kingdom, which the Abha kingdom, that is non-physical. Alright, it's not physical. You can't see and touch Abha kingdom. There's a kingdom there. And we all know in the faith that every kingdom above understand the kingdom below, but the kingdom below do not understand the kingdom above, but they know its existence. So I show this because you look at very interesting phenomena around the world. Right from minerals to the animals to the butterflies and the plants and to the human and so on. Of all this, the only kingdom that has the creative energy is the human kingdom. The animals have coexisted with the human for millions of years. But look around in this room, not one single item in the world or in this room is created by the animal or invented by the animal, except for what nature provides. Like a bird would build a nest to lay its egg. But you create a cell phone, you create a table, and as Abdul Bahai explained, the fact that the table exists shows that there must be a carpenter, and things like that. So this creative energy, if you think about, the scriptures of the old, let's say for example in the Bible it says that God has created us in His image, and we know God doesn't have a physical image. So it's the attributes of God. And I used to have a friend who spent time going up the mountain and spend 10 years in the mountain, looking for meditation or whatever they do, I don't know. Then I was just thinking that, you see, what is unique about us human is that God made us in His image. And this likeness of God is something He only gave to human. Alright? Look at us. We are no different from the monkey. Physiologically, we are very similar. And all the animals, our physiology and the animal physiology are very similar. But what distinguishes us from the animal is that we have this creative energy that the animals do not have. Why do I say this? Because you must recognize this energy to help you in healing. And it has a powerful force of this energy, this creative energy that helps you to heal. Now, animals, then you see about, I used to joke about this. I say, sometimes you say, what is the purpose of life? If you are just looking for 3 meals a day, alright, and keep yourself full and you don't die. Just look for 3 meals a day. What difference are you from an animal? An animal also looks for a meal or 2 a day to stay alive, and but the human, you also look for a few meals to stay alive. What is the difference between you and the animal? Very little difference. But that is not what God intended for human. He made us creative beings, and we must create. In our life, I've come to understand about the teachings of God and the prophets of the old, is that the human, we have a task. We live in this life, of course, to know God and to worship Him. And I used to wonder, what is this worshiping God is about? Actually, it's about the creative energy that He gave in us, and we must create. If you do not go out and create, how different are you from the animals? Now, creation doesn't have to be physical. Look at Microsoft, right? Because he has created this software, it has changed the life of billions of people all over the world. It doesn't have to be something physical. Yes, you can have a TV, you can have a watch, you have a phone. These are physical creation too. They are important. But there are also a lot of creations that are non-physical, like Beethoven gave us beautiful music, composition. Michael Jackson came out with beautiful songs that made it all of us dance. That's a creation. That's non-physical. And this is a gift that God has given to us as human, and we must make use of that. If you are a school teacher, you create a program for your student that brings them up to a great height of understanding. That's a creation. If you are a secretary of health or secretary of energy in a country, you come up with a program, a policy that in the next 5 years, billions or millions of the people in the country will benefit because of your policy. That's a creation. It doesn't have to be physical. So our life is about this creative energy. So when we go out as Baha'is, we teach, we also continue to participate in this creative energy. So it's a beautiful thing, I think, that distinguishes us. And creative energy is a spiritual quality. But it manifests itself in the physical world, but it is, the cause is a spiritual cause, because only the human has this ability. Okay, next. The Creator has given the human soul the creative energy which is in His image, that the animals do not have this special power to create. Now look at all the planes, cars, phone, the cities that we build, discovering germs and making, whatever, surgical instruments and whatever. These are all creation because we were made in the likeness of God. Now the animals have lived with us. Look at the fishes, the tiger, the chimpanzee, the birds, and all these animals, they've lived with us for millions of years, but they don't create. So we must recognize this in our life to create. Alright? Next. The human force and the creative energy in us has tremendous power in healing. Tremendous power in healing. Many of us don't recognize this. We can create that healing, by this creative energy. Next. The key to using this special life force energy to heal is the energy of consciousness. Consciousness. Many of us do not listen to our body. We wake up in the morning, rush to work, and by the time you come back, you're late, you're tired, take a shower, and you go to bed. Do you ever listen to your body? Do you know that the best doctor in the world is the doctor within you? Imagine there are some favorite foods that you have, alright? You love to eat this food. Then at times people bring you, hey, come, let's go eat this food. And somehow your body say, not today. There's an intelligence in your body that tells you, no, that's enough. You're having too much of it, not today. And the body doesn't crave for it, even though it's supposed to be your favorite food. We do not listen to our body enough, and really the body is extremely intelligent. Listen to your body, and it will help you stay very healthy. Next. I will share with you something very personal as to substantiate some of the things that I talked about. In 2004, at 4 o'clock in the morning, one of those nights, I woke up at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and my left leg was totally numb and weak. So I, thought maybe it was compression. Sometimes when you sit in a certain position, you get this compression and you feel the tingling sensation or that numbness. I thought it was a compression. But what was funny was that it lasted for more than about close to 5 minutes. And I knew, that if it lasted for more than 4 or 5 minutes, it is no longer compression. So at 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, I call up a neurologist, also my good friend, Dr. Adrian Tan. And I say, Adrian, this morning at 4 o'clock, I had this experience. What do you make of it? Because it's either local or it's central. So he says, drop by. So I went to the clinic in Tan Tock Seng Hospital and he did a check on. He says, there's nothing wrong with your leg. So the next thing was I went for MRI scan. And MRI scan, this magnetic resonance imaging, there was a tumor as big as my palm sitting on the right parietal side of my brain. It was a huge tumor sitting on my brain. And because it's on the right side, it affected my left leg. On the position where it was, it affected my left leg. So he says, the next course is open brain surgery because the tumor was too big. It's not a small lesion, it's a huge mass, the tumor. So I went for the operation. And in the operation, at that time when I went into the operating theater, my wife was pregnant, 7 months pregnant with my youngest son, with my diagnosis, Zurel. He was still in 7-month gestation period. If anything happened to me in the operating theater, I would not have known my son or he would not have known his father. So anyway, I went. But what was very strange is this, that I never had any fear. Normally you pass through that 4th stage, denial and all those things, and you can come to a stage and say, why me? What did I do wrong to deserve this? A lot of cancer patients and terminal disease, they go through these different phases, and depending on how they progress, they can go into depression or they can go be optimistic as well. But my brain surgeon spoke to me about 1 hour. We discussed about the risks I had to go through, and I, say, yeah, let's do it. And the funny thing is that I never had any fear. And I don't know, sometimes you don't have fear is because out of ignorance, But here I actually knew exactly what the danger was about, and yet I didn't have fear. Another beautiful thing was that just before I went into the operating theater, before the anesthesia took place, took effect, it was a very nice moment. And suddenly it dawned on me, and says, praise be to God that I totally surrender myself to the will of God. If I have to die, I trust that God will take care of my children and my family. If I leave, I will leave for a purpose that God has let me leave. And I totally surrender myself to God. It was the lightest moment of my life. I suddenly feel that it's like, you're totally detached from the whole world. Beautiful moment. And then, I totally detached and left myself in the hands of God. I went for it. The operation took 10 hours. Can you imagine you work, normally days is 8 hours, 9 to 5, but this poor surgeon worked with me on 10 hours. And at the end of the operation, when I got back my consciousness, he told me, he says, I tried my best. I couldn't remove all the tumor. I only removed 70% because 30% was sitting on the sagittal sinus, which is one of the main key vessels of the brain. And he says that the tumor was already fused, with the vessel tissue. If I try to separate it, the risk of rupturing that vessel is very high. And he also knew my family, my wife is 7 months pregnant, and he didn't want to take the risk. So anyway, after the operation, I still walk around with a tumor in my head. And from a big tumor, 30% is still a great big mass, still quite substantial, quite big. Then he says, go for radiotherapy, go for radiation. And at that time, the technology of the day was gamma 9. And they use this gamma rays. And so I went through the whole course of this radiation. And I tell you, it was so painful for me because to use the gamma, radiation, they have to lock my head so that it doesn't move, so that the radiation will hit exactly where it should hit. And you know what they immobilized my head with? They put screw into my head. Oh, the time when the screw, I can feel the screw going into my skull just to immobilize my head. It was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I thought women go through labor as pain, but I believe this was more painful. Anyway, and so after I went through the whole course of this radiation, I went for a follow-up check every 6 months. The tumor was again growing and active. Because gamma radiation has very poor penetrating properties. It is very effective for very small lesion. But when you have a big mass, the cells outside die, but the inner part of the cells, the inner core, the cells remain active and they can continue to grow again. And that was what had happened, to grow again. So it started to grow. Next, just show. Oh, so this was my brain tumor, you know. So you can see that it was on the right hand side of my brain here, right? So it affected my left leg. See, Maida is a magician. In her back, she had anything I needed, whether a nail clipper, you want a hammer, you want a screwdriver, a wire, everything is inside there. I once removed a tooth with a plier from her back. And she still has that. So I said, you know, Maida, your back is a, you know, the magician, you pull out a rabbit, you know? You can pull out a rabbit from her back too. Alright, so this was the tumor that I had, and I had this operation. I'm sharing this with you, not because I want to tell you my story, but I want to bring across a message so that you can help others. Alright, next. So I went to the operation. It's like that. The brain, open up the skull, you cut open my skull bone, removed it, and then start working on the brain for 10 hours. And after that, they close it back and they say, sorry, I couldn't take out everything, only 70%. Then, next. So the tumor size went down, so we went for radiation. Next. So with this gamma radiation, they were all targeting the tumor cells. But it only killed the cells on the outer layer, but not the inner core. Next. And after that, I was still walking around with a tumor that was still active and still growing. Next. Then my journey began. That is where was a beautiful part of my life journey. I had that time my youngest boy was already born. I got 3 kids, a boy, girl, boy, Darren, Vereen, and Zurel. And I said, I look at my 3